Today, the Sunny News has the exclusive opportunity to go behind the scenes and interview the executive chef who manages the kitchen for London's restaurant who has held the Michelin Star the longest. Today, we're going to talk about what inspires him to create a dish or menu, tools of the trade, and his experience. You can see videos on the Sunny News, you guessed it, every Sunday. Our channel is unique because we offer you both an American and a British perspective from two media industry professionals. So if you're interested in London's food, life, and culture behind the scenes from two experts who live here, this is the channel for you. Now let's go inside Terre and meet the executive chef and learn about his experience and how he has accomplished so much at this restaurant.
I started to become a chef when I was 18 in a cooking school in Greece, so I was there for 2 years. Winter time we had theory kind of thing, and in summer we had practice. So I was practicing in two big hotels in Greece, and then I ended up working there for 3 years. It came to a point where I was 21, and then I was proposed to become a sous chef in this big hotel, which have like 100 staff. I thought about it and I said, like, I don't want to take the responsibility just yet because I don't have the experience and I can't even like know how to cook, let alone like manage people who are like 50, 60 years old or whatever. I had a friend who was in London, so I flew over here, just out of the blue. I finished the summer season, I just saved some money and I came over here. I worked in a restaurant called the Grazing Goats, and then I sent my CVs to all the Michelin Star restaurants in London. And Terre was the first one who replied to me and said, come here for a trial. So before I just booked lots of trials, I came here first. I got the job straight away. I liked the environment and I stayed here. I mean, inspiration comes from everywhere, from nature, from friends, family, from having a meal out in a restaurant, from having even a takeaway. So it depends. Sometimes you try something amazing, or you speak with a friend of yours and they say, oh, we tried this food there in Spain or in like Malta or whatever, and this combination were great. And then if I feel like I can try that, I'll just make it in whatever. I really like see reference in old school cookbooks. So I'm sometimes like, I really like finding books from 1980s, like flavors that have been forgotten throughout the years, because now we're in a futuristic kind of a way, yeah? But I like to find old recipes and recreate them and make them kind of my style and serve that to my customers. So, by regards to inspiration, it's like I'm going hunting, I'm going fishing. Sometimes you get like a very weird fish that you might be able to put on the menu or something which is not very common. Everywhere. My favorite thing to eat really, it's eggs. I love eggs in any kind of way, and I'm very specific with eggs. Like when I'm eating, let's say, like a baked egg on like a pan-fried egg, I don't want to break the yolk and it's like a mess. So I eat it like very carefully. But my favorite thing to eat at home is offal. So I love livers, I love like kidneys, I love hearts, anything that's offal. I like pan frying it or roasting it and eat it with lots of gravy and sriracha sauce. I mean, we're chefs, so like the essential tools in the kitchen is knives. I really like my Japanese knives, and lately I got this Greek guy contact me who lives in Bristol, and he makes this handmade, like forged Japanese knives. So I've made my request of what knives I want, and he made them on my specification. So he took him about like 3-4 months, but he just finished them like last week really. And I'm really excited to have my knives like sharp and amazing every day. After the lockdown, we off on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday we start about 12 o'clock. The first thing we do is give a nice boost for the week on preparation. So I'm going to the kitchen, I'm start doing my kind of jobs first. So I'm having all of them organized. I tick them off, then I'm giving a hand to the guys so they can be ready for the week. And then go to Wednesday, where I normally organize my meetings with few suppliers. I have a chat with them about prices, have a chat with them about like what's going on, what's going to be on the season next, what vegetables are coming in next, what fish is available or not, because they have a lot of obviously spawning seasons or whatever, how they breed. And then you go to Thursday, which is again, I'm going in, I probably spend a bit of time looking at the menus, maybe we'll have to change something, I'm trying new dishes, and then Friday, Saturday normally is our busiest days, where I'm always in the kitchen, make sure that everyone's on time, spot on, and everything is very tasty to go for serve the customers. We try and always to try to recruit before we need someone, but that's not really the case in restaurants. It's pretty difficult. Sometimes someone gives you like a week's notice which is nearly the amount of time you need to train the next one. So ideally, we need to get people before someone leaves. We put them with someone on a section, let's say the larder section or the meat and fish section or the garnish. We have them there with the other chef for a week, obviously overlooking them from far away, see everything is going right, and then you can let the other person leave and go. But obviously training is essential in this type of restaurant for us to have everything that we need on spot and perfectly cooked or perfectly prepared, and we don't have we're very consistent in our quality, so we don't have high quality one day and lower quality the other day. That's very, very important. It all depends, but specifically we have a dish now on the menu where it's a foie gras parfait, where we have to make the parfait in one day and then we have to freeze it into specific molds, and then the next day we'll have to take it out frozen and dip it into a beetroot and wine jelly, so it looks like a Christmas ball basically. So we put it in this glaze and then we'll have to freeze it again, and we'll have to take a toothpick off and keep it in the fridge so it defrosts slowly overnight. And the garnish there is preserved pine cones. So we have baby pine cones, which we have to cook from cold water to boiling water 25 times to get off the bitterness out of them, because otherwise they're not edible. They're very hard pine cones, right? So we have to blanch them 25 times, and then we have to put them into stock syrup for them to get preserved, to have them in the future. And then you have a millefeuille, which you have a chestnut puree, which has a bit of agar to solidify. And then you make a black truffle jelly. So you put a very thin layer, which is 1 millimeter thin layer of chestnut puree, and then you have the truffle jelly, and then more chestnut, more truffle, you have 6 layers of that, and then you put it in a tray and you have to press it so it all becomes nice in a block, and then you take a very, very sharp knife and you have to cut it specifically in 2.5 to 2.5 centimeter cubes for them to be perfect when it cooks. So yeah, it's just nice. It takes about 3 days to make a dish, which you have to serve immediately, otherwise it ain't going to be very fresh on the other days. In second lockdown, we decided we want to make a book. We did the first book of Terre, which is 30 years of the restaurant. We have stories of the restaurant, David's, the owner, and my story at the end. And then after that, I did 50 recipes we have throughout the years. And the dish I mentioned before, it's actually in here. So that's where it is. Here you go. So yeah, it was very interesting because I really want to make a book, and it happened, and I'm very happy about it. So glad. No, I'm not, and I'll tell you the reason why. If they don't like a specific thing on the menu, on the dish, I prefer them to tell me straight away to take it off, because after that it will be no complaining about them that the dish was incomplete. So I believe that my dishes are complete in a way, in my kind of perspective, because it's my dishes obviously. But if someone doesn't like something on the dish, I prefer them to tell it beforehand so they can enjoy the dish without this ingredient in.
So let's step inside and take some time to No. Go. Is it you filming? Okay. Year after year. No. Keep going. Is it rolling? Let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Is it rolling?
Rolling.
You're rolling? Okay. You're filming it again? Yeah? You're rolling.
We're rolling.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
So we're going, yeah?
We're going.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I mean
When I worked at NBC News London Bureau. Competitive restaurant scenes. Not only did Can you imagine what it must take to... Pause. I met my husband when I lived... I'm Sunny. I'm an American who's lived... No, I should be from Florida. Stop. Behind the scenes and interview the executive chef of the... Pause. The Sunny News. Pause it. Yeah? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
That's it.